Hello everyone, my name is Shadrach and you are welcome back to part 3 of this Next.js and Supabase project tutorials. So be sure to subscribe to the channel if this is your first time here and like the video as well. You can keep the notifications on so that you don't miss any videos I post in the future. And also, if this is the first video you are seeing, be sure to check out part 1 and part 2 before, because we are building on top of them. So the links are going to be in the description. So in this part, we are going to work on the authentication system of our app. So we are going to use Supabase authentication to manage our users. We are going to allow users to create accounts, verify their accounts, and log in with their credentials. So users will be able to sign up with either their email and password or with their Google accounts. And Supabase is going to help us do that easily. You probably might have heard of or used Supabase before. If not, it is an open source Firebase alternative, as they say here. Now with Supabase, you can build powerful applications with ease whilst leveraging the benefits of a hosted Postgres database. It gives us authentication and authorization systems. There are auto-generated APIs. There is also a file storage. And most importantly, there is a comprehensive dashboard to help us manage our users and databases easily. They have a very good documentation as well. So we are going to start by looking at getting the UI for our authentication system in place. We will then create a Supabase account and then set it up with Next.js. We'll connect them and then start signing up users onto our platform. Now, one thing to note is that in this part and the subsequent part, I will not be focusing more on building the UI and styling them itself, as I have been doing in the previous sessions. So in the previous sessions, I took my time to show you how the UI is built and how to style them using Mantine. So in those sessions, I believe you are now familiar with how the UI is now built and styled. So I will, even though I will show you and explain them to you as I work on them, but I'll keep more focus on working with Next.js and Supabase. We'll focus on actual implementations and the most exciting stuff than writing a lot of boring styles. After all, that's the reason for this course. So before we create a new Supabase account, let's get straight into VS Code and put our UI together. So we are in VS Code now, and there are a couple of things to do here. So when I open my SRC folder, you'd notice that I've made a few changes here. If I open up, I have some few folders I have added here. So these are the new pages I have added, and they don't actually contain anything yet because we are going to do that very shortly. But these are the pages we are going to need for our authentication. Now we would need the login page. We would also need the sign up page. These are the two main pages. Now we would need another page for providers. So when a provider is creating an account, that is going to come a bit later. We are going to focus on the login and sign up. And I also added this folder because when a user verified their account after creating them, we would send them to this page. Right. So you just create a folder, and then inside the folder you create a page.tsx file in there. That's how we create a new page in Next.js. Now in features, I have a folder called Auth, and in Auth, that is where I have the UI for my authentication. So first of all, I'm going to show you the login. So I'm just using a couple of Mantine components here. So it basically says welcome back, and then there is a Google button with a divider, and then this is where we have the form. Right, so it's going to ask the user to enter email and then password, and then after that they will be able to click on the login button to be able to log in. So there is also an anchor text here which says if you don't have an account you can register, and as you can see, this is pointing to /signup, So if you don't have an account and you click on this, then it's going to take you to the sign up page where you would be able to create an account. So we have a similar layout here where we have welcome to, then we are using the logo here again, so it's going to say welcome to Cargo Rentals. We have the Google button here, so you can also sign up with your Google account if you want. And then inside the form here, you would enter your email, your password, you confirm the password, and there is also an extra element, checkbox element, which is saying accept terms and conditions. You would see very shortly on the UI. And then similarly, if you have an account already, this one is going to take you back to the login page, and then after you fill your credentials, you can click on sign up to sign up. Now there is also an extra link here which is going to take you to a provider account if you are creating a provider account basically. So these are the forms for our login and sign up. As you can see, this is the Google button, so it's basically a button with a Google icon. So as you can see, I'm using an SVG icon here, and the reason why I am adding this custom Google icon is because I wanted the Google colors to be available there. So I'm using this custom icon, and that's what I am passing to the button. Now here, as I said, we have the verified page. It's a very simple template which is going to say your account has been confirmed, you can log in, right? And then you can click on this button login, which is pointing to /login, and then it is going to check the session. Once you are logged in, it's going to log you in automatically. And here there is a not verified alert, which is going to also alert you if your account is not verified but then you are trying to log in. It's going to say, sorry, we were unable to log you in, please check if your account is confirmed. So when you create an account, you have to confirm your account before you would be able to log in. We're going to look at that shortly. And also, let's say if a user is trying to log in with a credentials that doesn't exist, you've not signed up but you want to log in, this is the alert we are going to show you. Alright, so they're not registered alerts. Alright, so these are just templates to like do different things around our authentication system. Now there's a style.module.css file which does not contain a lot, just a few styles about our login and sign up UIs. So we are going to connect these pages to our we are basically going to connect these UIs to our pages. For example, here, instead of using this, so before that, let me just show you. As you can see, our app is running as well. Before I add the UI, let me just show you that we don't have anything there. So if I click on login, it's basically going to take me to the login page, which is just a text, a placeholder text here saying login. So I'm going to replace that with the login component I have created in features, right? So here I'm going to say login, and I am going to import it from features. So if I save it and I come back here after it refreshes, as you can see, this is how my login card looks like. Right, so here, welcome back, and then this is my Google button, and there's a label here you can continue with, email, and then password. Don't have an account, then you can register. You can click on register. I think they're supposed to be more on the right side. I'll fix that later, but this is the button to click after you fill your credentials to log in. And then here, if you want to create a provider account, you click on this. Now if we go to the register page, which I can do from here, as you can see, we would also link that. So let's go to sign up, and instead of the placeholder, we are going to say sign up, and we are going to import that from features, and it's a very similar kind of form, but just a few extra uh, input elements. All right, so here, welcome to cargo rentals. There is a Google button, email, password, confirm password, accept, which you need to check, and then this is going to take you back to login, and here you can sign up. So this is how our login and sign up UIs are going to look like. Now the other pages are going to come in later when we are validating our form or when we are verifying the user's account. Now you can see though that on this page we still have the login and sign up buttons here, even though we are on the sign up page. So normally we don't want this to happen. Right, so when you are on the home page, it makes sense to have this, but when I click on this button to take me to the login page, I still don't have to see this login and sign up buttons. I think they should disappear. So we are going to see how we can fix this. I want to also mention that this all works with light and dark theme very well. So as you can see, when we switch to dark theme, we have our components still looking good. If we go to the sign up page as well to see our sign up form, alright, so everything still looks okay, still looks good. Now I want to fix this quickly before we move on to this. Alright, so let's go back to our components. Let's first of all look at the sign up component here, where we have the button. I think it should be down. Alright, so here where we have the button, so we have this and this in a group, and I did justify a part. It should be space between, like this. Alright, so if I save this and I go back and check after this refreshes, alright, so as you can see, the button is fixed. There's now space here. So I'm going to do the same thing for the login as well. So here, instead of a part, just going to say space between, save it, and then let's go back to login. Alright, so our login is also fixed. Alright, so let's fix this now. When we are on this page, we don't want these buttons to show. Alright, so when we are on this page or on the register page, we don't want any of these buttons to show, so you can only go to the other pages from here. Alright, so let's see how we can fix it. It is very easy to do that. Let me close these, and I'm going to go to components. So here, components, and then I'm going to go to navbar. So here where we have alt buttons, I can do a very simple check here. Alright, so first of all, on top here, I am going to say constant excluded path, which is going to be a list of paths that I want to exclude these alt buttons from. Right. So for example, I can do /login, can do /sign up, like this. So in the future, if I have any other pages I don't want to show these alt buttons there when I am on them, I am going to add them here. For now, it's just the login and sign up. So I'm gonna save this, and there is a hook from Next.js that I can use. So it's called use path name. Alright, so use path name imported from Next navigation. So because this is a hook, it is supposed to be used in a client's component, and as you can see, this is a client's component. Right, so here I'm going to say constant, the value we get is the path name. So if we are on a particular path, it is going to give us the path name. And here I can wrap this around a fragment, copy, bring that down here, and I can do a very simple if check here. Right. So here I can say if excluded parts dot includes path name. Alright, so there's path name. Then what we want to do, we don't want to show the page, right? So if I put this end here and I bring the closing brackets here, it's going to say if excluded parts dot includes path name, show this. But then we want to do the opposite. If this path name is part of this excluded part, don't show it, right? So the only thing we need to do is to add a not check here. So we are going to say that if not this part name is here, that's the only time you're going to show it. Otherwise just don't show anything. So we go back and we see that it's gone. It is gone. Yeah, so we go to home, we go to the login as well, and then it is not there. But then as soon as we go to the home page, you see it is there. Alright, so before we create a Supabase account, I want to fix this scroll bar we have here, right? So I don't want this default scroll bar from the browser. If I open the finished app here, see that I am using a custom scroll bar, as you can see from here, right? Yeah, so I want to fix this, and it's very easy to do. It's just a few CSS styles that I'm going to paste in my globals.css file. So let me go back to VS Code. Alright, and I am going to paste these few CSS styles alongside some other CSS styles that I will be using a bit later. I would open globals.css file, which is this one. This is the only thing I have here at the moment. And I'm going to paste this CSS file, and I'm going to paste this CSS styles here, right? So as you can see, to be able to override the default scroll bar, I'm using this WebKit scroll bar, and I am targeting the track, the thumb, and then I'm changing the color to the color I want, right? So this is what I'm using to change the scroll bar. These are a few CSS that I'm going to need a bit later, global CSS that I'm going to need a bit later. So yeah, I'm just leaving them here just in case we forget. They should be here already, but once we use them, I'll show you that there's a reason why I created these and then these and then the other ones. Okay, so let me save it, and then let me go and check. Alright, so as you can see, the scroll bar is changed. Alright, so let's close this one. So yeah, we have a new scroll bar. Alright, so you can design the scroll bar. You can give it your own color that you want. That's totally up to you. Yeah, so we are going to create a new Supabase account and then set it up with Next.js, and then see how we can allow our users to log in and sign up. Okay, so go to supabase.com, as you can see here, and then I'm going to create a new account. So if I go to sign in, actually because I don't have an account, I am going to go to sign up, right? And here I'm going to use my credentials to sign up. You can also use your GitHub to sign in. I would recommend you do that instead. But yeah, I'm going to use my email and then password to sign in for this one. So once it is correct, I am going to click on sign up. So as you can see, check your email to confirm. So I'm going to check their email and then click on confirm to confirm, and then I am going to click back here to sign in. So I have opened my email. On the other side, I can see the email from Supabase. So I'm going to click on confirm email address, and it is going to tell me that my email address has been confirmed. Alright, so I can come here, come and click on sign in now. If I try to refresh this, yeah, I should be signing here. So as you can see here, I can create a new project, which I am going to do, right? So I can click here or here, it's the same thing. So click on a new project, and I am going to create it under this. Alright, so the name of the project is going to be cargo rentals. Alright, I'm going to use my default password as my password, so I'm going to hit on create new project. Okay, so once the project is created, as you can see here, cargo rentals, even though I made a spelling mistake here, I can change that later. So let's see. So here I can see my API keys. We are going to need this a bit later, so we will come in and copy them if we need them. But when we go, let's wait for the project to also finish creating, and then after that we can edit it. So as you can see, our Supabase project is created, and here we can see all the services we have. Now if we go to table editor, here we can create a new table for our database. There is also the SQL editor, where you can write direct SQL queries here to fetch some results. Alright, so this part is where we are going to use to manage our users. So the authentication part, and this is the part we are going to really focus on. Now let's go back home. Let's see how we can edit our project. Now we go to settings, and then here we see project settings. As we made a spelling mistake, we can fix that. So it is cargo rentals, and I am going to save it. Alright, and when we come here, that's the only thing we're going to fix here, right? If we want our API key, we can come here, click on the API tab here, and then we would be able to get our API key plus our public key, and then secret as well. We're going to do that later, but yeah, as you can see, our project is created and we are ready to go. Okay, so let's set up Supabase with our Next.js app now, and there are 3 steps to follow after here, and I'm going to show you in the documentation. So here, Supabase auth with Next.js app router, as we are dealing with the authentication aspect of our Next.js application. So first of all, yeah, let me mention this. So there is a warning here, a caution here, to switch the package to this. This is a new package that Next.js actually recommend instead of Auth helpers. Even though Auth helpers work fine, it is recommended to use this now. So at the time that I was working on this project, I think this one wasn't out yet, so I've been using the Auth helpers, right? Yeah, so to migrate, it's an easy step or process to migrate to use this. If you go to the migration page, it is just about uninstalling this and then installing this, and then here we can use create browser client and then create server client. Also, there is an example here which shows you how to use it, so you can check the documentation out. So normally you set it up like this, and then in server components, this is how you set up the middleware, the route handler, server action. So yeah, the documentation is going to teach you how to set it up if you want to use that. It is something I'm going to do in the future, probably not in this one. So we are still going to use the Auth helpers. These are the 3 steps after installing the packages. So as I mentioned, this is what we've already done. We've installed the Supabase Auth helpers Next.js, and then Supabase.js itself. After that, these are the environment variables we are going to need. Alright, so I am going to copy this. So as it says, we should create env.local file in our folder, and then we can add those environment variables. So that's what we are going to do. So let's come here, let's close these. In the root of our folder, I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call it .env.local, and then I'm going to paste this here. So I'm going to now get our Supabase URL and then our public key, and then put them here, so that can be fetched from here as I opened. And I might mention that this is a demo Supabase account, so after this project it is actually not going to exist. So I'll get my Supabase URL from here. So as you can see, this https and then .supabase.co. I'll copy that one, and then that is what I am going to put here. Now I'm going to get the anon public key, which is this one. Alright, and I am going to put that here as well. So let's save this. And yeah, this is what we need up until this point. So this is the first step. Now let's go back to the documentation and see what we have to do next. Alright, so here, after that, we also have to set up the middleware. So here is the code to add a middleware.js file. In our case, it's going to be a TS file, and then we are going to add this line of code. So let's create that. So in our code, we are going to create a middleware file, and I'm basically going to create that in src. So here I'm going to add a file and say middleware.ts like this. And I'm going to copy the code and then add it here. So this is the code we need. You can get it from the documentation, as I mentioned. First of all, let me just comment this out. Because I'm using TypeScript, I need the Supabase type. If I remove this, at least for now, and then I save it, yeah, this is all we need. So as you can see, we are getting this next response.next, and then we do create middleware client, and that is imported from Auth helpers, and then we do supabase.auth.get session. So we return the results after we return the response after that, and then we are just exporting this. So it's basically the same thing as what you see here. So after that, what do we have to do again? So we go down here, and we need to add this file, and then also add this code. As it is written here, we are going to create a new file, which is going to be in app alt callback route.js, in our case route.ts, and then we are going to put this code there. So the Next.js Auth helpers are configured to use the server-side auth flow to sign users into your application. So this requires you to set up a code exchange route to exchange an auth code for the user session, which is set as a cookie for feature request made to Supabase. So we are going to add this. Let's actually create that file. So let me copy this. Alright, so inside app, let's go back to VS Code. So inside app, I am going to say a new file, and I'm going to paste this here. So I'm going to say .ts, and then I'm going to remove the starting auth from here. I would have the folder callback and then route.ts, right? So I can paste the content inside there. Right, and because I've not actually added the database type, I'm going to disable this one also here. I'm going to bring that in later, and then I would remove it here, at least for now, just to make things work. Yeah, so I'm going to save this, and yeah, basically we are getting this create route handler client from Auth helpers again, and then we do the exchange code for session, and after it is going to redirect to our origin, which is basically going to be our origin path. And then I am adding this /verified so that it is going to take us to the /verified page. So normally I'm going to redirect after users sign up. I'm going to redirect to home, so /verified is going to take us to the verified page, which I have here. So here, verified, and I am going to basically use the components here so that we don't have to come back and do this again. So the component is called verified, as we created in features. So verified, and then I'm going to import from here. And as I showed you earlier, it's a simple component which is gonna say that your account has been confirmed. You can log in, and then when you click here, it's gonna take you to /login. Alright, so when we do this, you can see there is a bunch of warnings in our terminal, but since they are not errors, let's just ignore them for now. Go to next config. So the environment variables I added in my .env.local, I would add them here. Right, so basically to add them, we just do env, and then inside env I can add them like so. Yeah, so they are referencing process.env.next public Supabase URL, just like we have in our env file. So if I want to use them, instead of doing process.env.this, I can just point it to this property. So once I save it, I'm going to try and then restart this. Even though it says found a change in next config.js, restarting the server to apply changes. I'm going to also manually quit this and restart. I have trust issues, so let me just restart myself. So let's now work on our sign up. So I'm gonna close this file. Let's close this and then this as well. So now in SRC, I'm going to create another folder. I'm going to call it services, and here I'm going to create a service. I'm going to call it auth.service.ts. So this is going to be for our auth service, and the first thing I'm going to create is I'm going to create a function here. So I'm going to create a function, so constant. Now we are going to start with logging in with our email and password, right? So I'm going to say login with email password, which is going to be an async function. So Supabase is going to, if you want to log in with your email and password, Supabase is going to require you to enter or to send an email and password alongside. Right, so those are the arguments we are going to receive for this function. So here we are going to pass an email, which is going to be a string, and then a password, which is also a string. And then here we're basically going to return a promise. A promise of what? So a promise of a type called auth token response. And once we do this, now here we can do constant response is equal to await, and we are going to, because this is going to be used in a client component, we're going to initialize our database up here, right? So we are going to use this create client component client from auth helpers. And let me import that, and because I've not added a type, I'm going to remove this for now. So we do this, and then here we are going to be able to do supabase.auth, and when we do dot, we are going to be able to get the sign in with password, this one, and then it receives an object which contains the email and then the password you are passing. So password. which is coming from here. And then at the end of the day, we are going to say return the response. So this is how we're going to do it, and I'm going to do export so that we can actually import it and use it in the component. Right, so this is all we need for our function to work. So we just do supabase.auth.sign in with email and password. We pass the email and password, which is going to come from here, and then we are going to return that response. So we're going to get the details from our form, our sign up form, and then we're going to pass it to this function and then check if that works. So as I said, we are going to use maintain forms to validate our forms. Right, so I'm going to create a hook here. Now this is going to be called use sign up form, like this. So use sign up form.ts, and inside here, so first of all I'm going to add a type to types here, so we don't have the types file created yet. So I'm going to do index.ts. I'm going to paste this type here. Right, so the sign up form details we are going to get, we have email, password, confirm password, and then terms. Right, these are all strings, and this is a boolean. So let me save this, and then here I'm going to create a custom hook. So export const, and I'm going to call it use sign up form. It's going to be a function. So what is this function going to return? So I'm going to say constant form like this, and the way we use maintain form, there is a hook called use form for maintain form here, and then here you pass some values. So the values from your form basically. So first of all, we are going to pass initial values like this, and these initial values are going to be our email, which first of all is going to be empty. We have our password, which is also going to be empty initially. We have confirm password as well, so confirm password is going to be empty, and then we are also going to have the terms. We have terms, which is going to be, we're going to make sure we check it by default, so we're going to set it to true. Alright, so once we do this, we pass the initial values. The second property we can pass to this use form function is a property called validate. Right, so here is where we actually write some kind of checks to check for these fields that we pass here. Right, so for example, I can do something like this: email, and then I'm going to pass a callback function to it, and it is going to receive a value. So as you can see, the type of email is a string. Right, so if I want to get a typings here, I can add a return type here. So I'm gonna say use form return type, use form return type like this, which is generic, and then we're going to pass the type we added in modules, which is I sign up form details like this. Right, which means that at the end of the day, in this function we have to return form. Now let's import this as well, and here we receive the value, which is a string. And for our email, what do we want to check? So we want to check that the email is in the correct format, or is in the correct email format. So yeah, there is a regular expression that I'm going to basically paste here. So yeah, this is going to basically check this is supposed to be the value coming from here. is going to check that the value we are passing matches the correct format for our emails, and you can basically Google for this online. But basically, yeah, if we get a correct email format, we're going to send now, which means that our validation passes if it receives null. But then if it doesn't receive a null and it receives a string, which is basically going to say invalid email, then it means our validation fails, right? Yeah, so it's a very simple way to check for these fields that we are passing here. So it's going to be the same thing for our password. So for our password, we are going to check that the length is at least greater than 6, so it should contain at least 6 characters. And yeah, if we want, we could have other things like it should contain uppercase and special characters and stuff like that, but we want to keep it simple for now. Alright, so I'm going to copy the validation for our password, confirm password, and terms also here. So here we do the password value, and then we check that the length is greater than 6. If not, we are going to say that password should include at least 6 characters. Otherwise, we're going to return null, and it's going to be the same for confirm password. Now with the terms, as you know, the terms is going to be a boolean, so we check that you've actually clicked on the checkbox. So if terms, which is if it is true, then if it is true, we're going to return false. If it is not true, as you can see here, then we are going to say you need to accept the terms and conditions. So this is going to be our custom hook that we are going to be using to validate our forms. So we are going to be using a pattern like this, and yeah, I believe it's simple enough for you to understand. If not, we are going to be doing this over and over again, so you're basically going to understand it. So once we do that, we can now use that in our sign up components. This means that in our sign up form, let's go to features, then let's open sign up. Right. So this means that in our sign up form, we're first going to use the hook here. So constant sign up form is equal to use sign up form. I'm going to import this from hooks. And then here I'm going to create a function which is going to handle our sign up when we click on the sign up button. So handle sign up, which is basically going to be a function. So here, because we are getting the values from sign up form here, inside the function we are going to say constant. Alright. Then we're going to destructure the email and then password like this. You're supposed to do dot values here. So when we do this, it means that now we can use the function we created here. Right. So I am going to make this an async function, and then we can do something like constant, and then we do await, and I'm going to call the function which is going to be sign up with email password, which is basically going to come from here. So we are exporting it. We're supposed to get that. If it's actually supposed to be sign up. Why did I say login? This is signing up. Okay, so let's do sign up with email password. Yep. And then here we are going to say that we are passing email and then password. Why do I have a double equal to here? Alright, so here we are likely, because this is an async, we are likely going to get an error. What we can get from this response is either an error. So we're going to check for the error case and see if there is no error. So we're going to say if error, and basically we want to say console.log error. Otherwise, we want to just say sign up successful. So when we save it like this, we should be able to use a function on our form. So here where we have the form, we are going to basically add an on submit. We're going to say on submit like this. Here we are going to use a sign up form, right? Because we want to make sure it checks the validation before it signs up. So the way we do it is we do something like this. Sign up form, this one, and then we do dot on submit like this, and then we pass a callback function to this function, and then we pass this function to it. All right, handle sign up, and we make sure we call it. But to make this work, actually, we have to add some values and on-change so that we are able to get the values from the form. All right. So for example, we're going to say value here. It's going to come from sign up form here, and then we do dot values email. This is going to be the same thing for the others, so let me just copy and paste. So here and then here, and I'm going to change it to password, confirm password, and I'm also going to add it for our checkbox. This time it's not going to be value, it's going to be checked, and it's going to be similar to this. And here it's going to be terms. Right, so now we need to add the on change as well. So the way we do it is we are going to say on change, which is going to receive the event. So here we are going to basically say that sign up form dot set field value like this, and then we do email. So this is the field value we want to set, that is email, and then we're gonna get it from events dot current target. So we do events dot current target dot value. Yeah, so this is how we are going to set the values. Alright, so we do sign up form dot set field value email, then we do event dot current value current target dot value. So let's copy this for the others as well. Copy, paste that here, let's paste it here as well, same for the checkbox, and then let's go through and then change it. So this is password, so we are going to pass password here, and because we have the type checking, you notice that as soon as I do like the quotes, it gives me like all the properties we have that we can actually set the field value for. So in this case, password set field value. So here we are going to do for confirm password, and missing the comma here, and then here is the terms. Terms. Perfect. So this is good enough to submit our form to get the values actually here. So basically the validation is going to check that all the fields are valid before it actually submits this. Alright, yeah, so here let me just say so here instead of value it's gonna be checked because it's a checkbox, and yeah, the error should go away. So when I save it, we're going to test and see if this is working. Yeah, so let's go back to our UI here, and let's make sure this is refreshed. Let's refresh this ourselves, and I'm also going to open the console just to see that there's no errors there. Okay, so I'm going to use temp email to generate like a temporary email address to be able to test for this in case we are supposed to confirm. So here we get a temporal email. I will copy this one and then I'm going to paste here. Now I'm going to type a password. I'm going to say test123, confirm password. Let's just leave this and then try to click on submit. As you can see, nothing actually happens because it hasn't actually hit the server side yet, because we are not seeing our console. It means this is basically not submitting yet because we have some fields missing. So to be able to like test this well, let's actually add some error labels to our forms using a maintain form. So that is very easy to do. So here on our inputs we can add another property called error. So here we're going to say that sign up form, right, dot errors dot email, like this. And then if sign up form dot errors dot email, what do we want to show? We want to show the error message that we passed, right? So we do end and then we pass the error message here. So we can say maybe invalid email or something like that. But then we are already setting the error on this, so we are going to basically say this again. So this is going to say sign up form dot errors contains the email field. So if there is an error, it is going to add that field to the errors object, and then when it exists, then it means we are going to show the message for that error. So when you do this, let me just copy for the others as well. So very easy to do. Okay, so we have it for here, and then here we need it here as well. So this is the email one. Here we are going to do password like this, and we're going to do confirm password for this one, paste, and then here we are going to do temps. Like this. So as soon as I save it and then go back here, as you can see, we get an error on our confirm password field saying passwords do not match, and that is basically coming from the fact that we, in our sign up form, in our hook, we added this message here, right? So very easy to validate our form. So if I uncheck this as well and I try to submit, it's going to say you need to accept terms and conditions as well, right? So the same thing for all the other fields. So here click on submit, it's gonna say that invalid email, and then password should include at least 6 characters. So here we put the email again, we do test 1 2 3, we do test 1 2 just to confirm, and then we accept the terms and conditions. Click on sign up. You see passwords do not match. If I click on the I, this is 1 2 3 and this is 1 2. So as soon as I add 3, it's going to validate our form, and then when I click on sign up, we wait, and then we get an error, but then it is able to hit our server, right? Cool. So we are able to validate our forms before we submit it. Let's actually check why we are getting the error. So this is basically saying that Auth API error, invalid login credential. So I think I know the reason why. Here in our Auth service, we actually said sign in with password, but we are signing up. Alright, so we do sign up. So we do sign up like this, and then here instead of auth token, because we are now signing up, it's just going to be auth response. Alright, so yeah, sorry about the mix up. I was using the login function for this one. So here the type is going to be auth response, and then we do auth.signup, not login with password. So here we have sign up with email and password, which is fine. So let's save this one. And the reason why we're getting the error was because it was trying to log in, but then there is no credentials or there is no account relating to this email and password yet. When you're logging in, it basically means that you've already created or you've already signed up, and then you're logging in with your credentials. So here we get the API error, which is saying that invalid credentials because it doesn't exist yet. Right. So yeah, we are going to basically use this error to check and then show an appropriate error message when the user is trying to log in with invalid credentials. So with this, let's try to test it again. So I'm going to click on sign up, and yeah, as you can see, sign up successful. Very, very good. So let's go back to our Supabase and then check. So I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to go to authentication, and as you can see, we have one user here. Very, very cool. And then we have waiting for verification, right? So when we go back here, clear the log, and then we go to our email, we would see that we've actually received an email here which is saying confirm sign up. So when I click on this, we are going to see the body of the email is going to say confirm your sign up, follow the link to confirm. So when I click on this, alright, so first of all, let me show you where that email template is actually coming from Supabase. So here, when you go to email templates, right, under authentication, when you go to email templates, we see where our email template is actually coming from. Alright, so here you can add your own custom email template. So I can also style it to look a bit nicer, but yeah, for the purpose of these tutorials, I'm just going to leave it as it is. It's entirely up to you to, I mean, if you want to style this to look a bit nicer. I'm just going to leave it as it is, as a default one for now. But yeah, I just wanted to mention and show you where the email template is going to come from so that you'd be able to change it if you want. So here we receive the email, and then I can click on this to confirm, right? So let's try it. We're going to click on this link, and there you go. It's going to take us to our home page. So once we are able to go to our home page and we check Supabase, we go back to users again here. As you can see, the awaiting confirmation is gone. Seeing this as a confirmation that we've been able to sign up our user successfully. Right. So as you can see here, sign up is working fine. Even though after the sign up we still see the information here, we basically want to be able to leave this page and then go to like a different page, and then also we want to be able to see like a loading spinner when we are signing a user up. So let's fix all of that right now. So what we're going to do here is we are going to add a local state here, which is going to be a boolean. So we are using use state. So let me import that from React. This is not supposed to be here, it's supposed to be up here. And then right here, so by default it is false, right? So we want to use the is submitted boolean to check if our form is submitted. Alright, and then we are also going to track the loading kind of state. So let me add another state here. So we have this is submitting, and then is submitted. So this is going to be when we click on it and then it is submitting. Alright, so after it submits, it is going to rather change the state. So what we can do is, first of all, we are going to say that before here, when we click on the button, it calls this function set it's submitting. Alright, so we're going to set it submitting to true, and then when we get an error, we are going to set it back to false because we are no more submitting. We've gotten an error, and we're going to do the same thing here as well. And then we are going to say that, so when we get an error, we're not going to set that it's submitted because we've gotten an error. but when it passes where the sign up is successful, that is where we are going to say is submitted is supposed to be set to true. Otherwise it is going to be false all the time. Alright, so here when we save this, we are going to be able to use this state to add some nice UI kind of loading and change the page if we've submitted a form. We are going to do it here. I'm going to add a loading overlay for our form from Mantine, and it is a component built in Mantine that I can basically add. It's called loading overlay. I can basically put that anywhere on my page, so I'm going to put that up here. I'll show you how it works, and let me import that from Mantine. So here we're going to set a visible to a submitting, so when we are loading or when we are submitting, that's where we are going to show this loading overlay. I'm going to show you in a second. So when we submit, so this is going to be when we are submitting. Now after we submit, we are going to tell the user to check and confirm their email. Alright, so we're going to prompt the user that we've sent an email message to the email address you provided, so make sure you check the email and confirm so that you would be confirmed. So we are going to create another component, and that's going to be a reusable component, so I'm going to add it here. So I already have the UI for that component, so let me just put that component here, which is called email confirmation, and this is basically going to receive the email address that that you pass. So here, as you can see, I do email or just a placeholder here if there is no email provided, but then you're supposed to provide that email because it's not optional. So whenever you use this, you would have to pass an email to it, and it's going to say that confirmation link. It's going to say that confirmation link has been sent to your email. It shows your email address, so please follow the link to confirm your sign up. So let's see how it looks like when we use it in our sign up form. So here we are going to check that so we are going to check that the user details has been submitted by checking for the is submitted boolean, whether it is true, and it is only set to true when sign up is successful. So when it is submitted, we want to be able to use the email confirmation component. So email confirmation like this, and here we are supposed to pass the email prop, which is going to basically come from sign up form dot values, the values dot email. Alright, otherwise we want to be able to show this component, right? So let me just put another fragment here just to wrap everything in a fragment. So after this box, and I'm gonna bring this gonna bring this here, and yeah, when I save it, it should format it correctly. So here we are saying if it is submitted, then show the user the confirmation alert. If not, then we are going to show this, right? And this is only going to be visible when we are submitting. So after the is submitting is set to false, it is going to go away. So let's actually see how this works. And I am going to use another email. So let's go back to our disposable email. Let's close this. I am going to click on delete, example this one, so that we get a new email address. Alright, so we have this new email address. I'm going to copy, and I'm going to sign this user up again. So put that here. I'm going to use the same password, test 1 2 3. Confirm it here, test 1 2 3, accept. And then you would notice when I click on it, there's going to be an overlay over this input, right? So when I click on it, as you can see with a spinner, and then once sign up is successful, as we see here, we get this alert that we created, which says that confirmation link has been sent to your email. Please follow the link to confirm your sign up, right? So when you check your email, the confirmation link is here. You can click on this to sign up, and then this is going to sign you up, right? As you can see, when we get to our home page with this code generated for us. Cool. So our sign up is working. When I click on login, it takes us back here, right? And then let's check our Supabase again to see that the user is actually added. It reloads, and then we see our second user here. So the awaiting confirmation is not here, which basically means that the user is signed up. We are able to sign users up now. We are going to work on the login so that we log users in with the credentials. Okay, so before we continue, I just noticed that I didn't change this back to false. So yeah, when sign up is successful, this is supposed to be false, not true, because if we keep it at true, there's going to be there. If there is a way to go back to like this particular template, we would see that the overlay is still there. Alright, but then it should disappear once sign up is successful. So this is supposed to be set to false. That was just a small change. Everything still works the same. So let's now work on our login. First thing I'm going to do is to create the hook. So I'm going to create the use login form .ts hook, and it's going to be very similar to the sign up. So we are going to say import use form from maintain form, and then we create a function. So export constant use login form, which is going to be an R function, and here you're going to create an instance of the form which is coming from use form. So inside the parameter we pass an object with the initial values so we're going to have just the email and then the password, right, from our form. As we know, it's just the email and then the password. So with that one, we are going to validate just these two. So here we put some validations in. So we have the validate property. The first one is email, right, and we're going to put the same validation we put for the sign up. So it's going to check if it is a valid email. Of course, I'm going to paste that here, similar to the first one. And I'm also going to put the same check we did for the password. So the password length should be greater than 6. So let me copy that here as well. And if I save it, yeah, this is basically going to check that this is a valid email and the length of the password is greater than 6 before the form actually submits. So once I do that, the only thing I have to do here is to say return form. So our hook is done. Let's actually create our function, which is going to actually make the server call to our Supabase. So here we are going to create another function, right? So this time we are going to create the login with email and password. So let's create a function constant login with email password. Right, so this is going to be the name of our function, and it's going to be an async function. So we put the async here, and here we are going to say constant, and then also create the Supabase instance as well. So let me just copy it from top here. So paste that here, and we are going to say constant. We do await Supabase dot auth and then dot. So this time it is going to be signed in with password, right? So this is the one we are looking for. So we want to sign in with password, and this is expecting the credentials, so your login credentials, right, which is basically the email and then the password from here. So first of all, we need to pass the email. Where we're going to get the email, we also need to pass the password. So where are we going to get this password? It means that our function is supposed to receive that as a parameter. So email string, and then we also need the password as well. So that is basically what we are passing here, and after that we are just going to return the response. Let's also make sure we are exporting this function so that we can use it in our component. So once we do this, we can now come back to the login component. Right, so here we have the login component, and we can use our hook here. Alright, so first of all, let me use the use login form hook that we created. Alright, so constant login form, or I can just say form actually, just to shorten it. So that's the name of my variable, and I am going to also create a function to handle my login. So constant handle login, which is going to be an async function as well, because we're going to make async calls inside here. So async arrow functions, I can generate that, and there is not going to be any params. So in here I'm going to say constant. Alright, so I'm going to get an email and then a password from our form. So we do this, and then we do form the values, that is our login form. So this is the email and password we are going to pass to our function, this function. So which means that we can now say constant response is equal to await, and then we call login with email password, and it needs our email and then our password. So the response we're going to get here is an error. Either we get an error or we get the data. So we are going to check if we don't get an error. So we say if error, then let's just a console.log error. Otherwise we're going to log the data. So basically when you think about this, what we want to tell the user is, okay, so if I have credentials and I click on this to log in, it should basically log me in and redirect to probably the home page. Okay, so what if I enter credentials here which is not correct? It means I'm going to get an error. So if I get an error with a message saying like invalid credentials or something else, I should show the appropriate message to the user. Yeah, so with that we are going to use some local states to manage that as well. So when the user is actually not verified, or when the user is actually not registered, right? So we're going to have the case where the user is not actually registered at all, or the user might be registered but then has not been verified. So when you sign up and you've not verified your account, it should be able to tell you that you haven't verified your account, so make sure you verify before you log in. So we are going to try and use some local states to keep track of whether the user has been registered or not, and also verified or not. So I'll paste this here, and so this is saying not registered, set not registered, which is coming from use states. So initially they are all false, and also I want the loading spinner when we are submitting, so I'm going to add a submitting state here so that we get that loading spinner. And once I do this, I can now come here and First of all, before this happens, before this call is made, we are going to do set is submitting to true, right? So set is submitting to true, because as soon as we hit this function, it means we have started submitting. Once it is done, we are going to set a submitting to false again. So let's do that here actually, so that we don't have to set it in these two places. So we're just going to do that here. Whether we get an error or it is successful, we are still going to set this to false. So first of all, what do we want to do? Now you noticed we got an error message for our sign up, which was basically because we were trying to log a user in with an incorrect credentials, and we had a message which was basically saying invalid login credentials, right? So this is how the message looks like. I'm going to paste it at the top here. So this is the error message which we usually get when a user doesn't have login credentials. So we get invalid login credentials. So here I'm going to do some check if we have an error, and so I'm going to do this end error dot message is basically equal to the error message I pasted up there. It means the user doesn't have like a correct login credentials. So what we are going to do is we are going to say set not registered to true. Right. So we're going to set this state to true. Else we want to try and say that okay, probably the user's credentials are correct, but then we can have an instance where the user is not verified, right? So with that one, we are going to be able to see it from here. We're going to be able to see it when we do if data dot user is equal to null, or data dot session is going to be null. Right, so if you get any of these two, it means that the user is actually not verified. Right. So with that one, we are going to say set not verified to true. I realize that if the user has a login credentials, but then it's not verified, so the user has been signed up, but then it's not verified. When you try to log in, even though you are going to you are not going to see an error message, you're going to have the data, but then the user is going to be null, or the session is going to be null, which means that the user is not verified, right? So we do that check here. If we don't get any of these, it means that I mean we have a correct login credentials, and we are basically can log in, and we would be logged in successfully. So let's just say console.log login successful, and yeah, because we are changing these states, not verified and then not registered, we can now use their components here, right? So remember, we already have their components. When the user is not registered, we show the person this message, and when you are not verified, we show you this message, right? So we have them as a separate component, which means we can use them inside this component. Alright, so with that one, it's going to be very, very simple. So we can go here. Right after our password field, we can put these two checks here. So if not registered, then let's show this component, and let me import that actually. Okay, coming from here, this as well. Alright, so when we have the state being true for any of these, we are going to see in one of these alerts. So let's now go to our UI and try and test and see what we get. I am going to go to the UI, and let me open the console, and yeah, so here I'm going to try and use some of the user emails we've signed up here. So I'll go to my Supabase and copy one of these emails, and I'm going to try and log in with a valid credentials. So you remember the password is test123. So when I click on login, let's see what we see. Okay, so looks like there was a refresh. We don't see any errors in the console. This is the warning we've been seeing, but let's check the networks as well, and it looks like there is no errors in the networks as well. Let's go back and see if we have a console log here. So we were supposed to see this console log saying login successful, but for some reason we did not see this console log. So actually this is not working because, as you can see, like we've not actually wired the login function to the form. So this was actually making a submit call and refreshing the browser without actually calling this function. So let's wire. So as we did for the sign up, we're going to do a similar thing for this one, right? So on submit, and we're going to do form. So this form, and so we're going to do form dot on submit, and then we're going to pass a callback function to this, which is going to say handle login with brackets. Right now, since I am here, let me also add the loading overlay. So here I'm going to just put it on top of this text. I mean, I can put it anywhere, it's gonna work. So let me import this from Mountain, and then we have S submitted. Let's now go back and test and see, and then let's paste the email again, copy, and then I am going to paste it here, test123, and click on login. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I click on login and I don't see anything happened in the console. Click on this again, nothing happens. So let's go and check why. A console.log inside this function and see. Let me see if it calls the function actually. It doesn't call the function at all. So there might be something wrong with our submit button. Let's go back and check it. Okay, so I think I know why this is not working. I don't think it has to do with this function not being called. I think it has to do, you probably might have noticed this before me, but you see that we don't actually have a value and onChange event for these inputs that we have here. It's actually my bad. I don't know why I forgot to add that. So I'm going to add that now. Alright, so here we add the value, which is going to come from form.values, and then the email. We are also going to add the onChange, and this is going to have an event, and here I'm going to do form dot, as we did, set field value, so email, and then we do event dot current target dot value, and then also for the errors we do error, and then we do form dot errors dot email, and we can just do can just do invalid email, or we can just use the same thing. But yeah, let me leave it like this. Copy this and then paste it here. So instead of email, going to change all to password, and here going to just do this. Let me probably do that, the same thing for email as well. Okay, so once we do this, we know that the forms value is the forms value are being set now. So we would actually get the form value, and then we would be able to pass them here. So let's go back and test this again. So let's just refresh this again. Alright, so this time hopefully it should work. So let me copy the value, let me copy the email once more. Paste that here. Test 1 2 3. So let's first test with valid credentials. Alright, so positive, and as you can see, it is working. Right, so login successful. Now we're able to log in. Let's try and then change the email, use like something which does not exist. Let me log in again, see. Alright, so as you can see, I get invalid login credentials, which is the message we get. And as you can see here, we have the error saying user not found. We are sorry, but the login credentials provided do not match any existing user in our system. Please double check your email and password. Yeah, so this is how the alerts for the user not found looks like. So let me go back to the home page. Let me go and sign up. Alright, so I'm going to sign a new user up, and I am not going to verify the user so that I will be able to see the other alerts. Right, so I have a new email here. Let me paste that here. Password test 1 2 3, test 1 2 3. Let's sign this user up. Alright, so this is the email. We are not going to verify. Alright, so we're going to go to login, and let's check our Supabase before. We'll check our Supabase, it reloads, and yeah, we see that this is the user, and we are awaiting verification. Right, so we don't verify, we go here and then we try to log in with correct credentials. Right, so we do test 1 2 3, and then we click on login. Right, so because we don't verify the user, this is what we get: user account not confirmed. So sorry, we are unable to log you in. Please check if your account is confirmed and try again. So here it will not be able to log you in, you get it. But after you confirm your account, then it is going to be able to log you in. So I'm seeing this login successful because because I mean we are just not returning anything here, right? So right after here, just continue to displace. So fine, that's okay. We will fix that later. But yeah, as you can see, our login flow is working fine. Alright, so there are a couple of things we still need to do with our login, because we just don't want to show this console.log message. We also want to be able to redirect the user to their home page. So when login is successful, we want to be able to take the user to the home page for them to know that they've been logged in successfully. And we also want to maybe reset the form or something. So what we are going to do is that, so here where login is successful, We can do something like redirect from Next.js, or we can do something like push. So we can use something like the use router from Next navigation here. So if I import this from Next navigation, and when the login is successful, I'm going to say push. It's basically going to go to the home page, right, which is a slash. And we want to also make sure we reset these, like these values, and that's one. I'm going to do it up here. First of all, we want to reset the form, so we can do form dot reset. Alright, so there's a reset function which is going to reset the form, and we are going to reset the local states as well. So let me put those here, and this is going to redirect to the home page. Let's go back again, and we are going to test with valid login credentials. Pick this again, paste that here, do tests 1 2 3, and then let's click on login. So once it logs in, it takes us to the home page. Nice. So as you can see, we have our login and sign up flow working fine, but we still have our login buttons here even though we've been logged in, right? Our session actually exists. We've been logged in successfully. So we want to be able to keep track of our session and then change this and show our user profile instead of this button, right? So when a user is logged in, this button is not supposed to be there. We are supposed to see our profile instead. So with that one, the way we are going to do it is to check if there is a session, right? So when you log in, or when you sign up a user and is able to log in, there is a session which is going to be stored. So Supabase is going to help you to be able to retrieve the session. Alright, and because we want to make sure we are able to check this in any part of our application, we are going to, for the first time, create a context for this one. So let's create a global context for this one. So alright, so inside my context folder, I'm going to create my first context, and I'm going to call it user session context, like this, .ts x. So here I'm just going to do rafc to generate my user session context component. In here I'm going to pass children, and I am going to render children here. So the way we create context in React, I mean, you might already know that. We do constant, so user session context, right? So this is going to be our context. This is going to be the provider, right? So which is going to be an instance of create context. So create context like this. I'm going to pass null, at least for now. I can also do export in case I want to use this one somewhere. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this dot provider like this, and we make sure that children is actually here. So interface props, and we're going to have children. It's going to be React node, or this from React, so that we can pass the props here. Okay. Here I'm going to create an interface here. I'm going to create an interface. This interface is going to be called I user session context, which is going to have the user, and this user is a Supabase user, and also the session, which is a session. Alright, so coming from Supabase. So yeah, we're going to have the user and then the session. Right. So here I can actually type it. So once I do this, I can just say null data setting. Oh, actually, I am importing this from the wrong place. It's coming from React. Yeah. So once we do that, these are the two values we are going to get. So the values are supposed to be passed on the provider. Right. So we do this, and we are supposed to pass user and then session like this. So that when we wrap our components within this context, it means we would have access to the user and then a session in any part of our application, at least for the components within this component. Okay, so you're basically going to subscribe to an auth state change. So Supabase actually gives us an on-auth state change function, which is going to subscribe to an authentication state change, and whenever the state changes, we are going to basically do something, right? So when a user logs in or sign up, the authentication state is going to change, and then we are going to alert our components that the authentication has been changed, so that we can update our components as we want. So the way we do that, first of all, I'm going to create two states here for our session and then user, right? Once we are passing here, so we're going to have them as states, and yeah, they have these types as well. And I'm going to create an instance of my Supabase here as well. Alright, so as we've been doing, I'm using the create client component clients, which is coming from Auth Next. Alright, and I need to import to use state as well from React. And in here, I'm going to use a use effect to do that. Alright, so say use effect like this. Let me generate it. Can clean this one for now. So here I'm going to say constant. Let's say response. I'm going to use Supabase dot auth, and then we do dot on auth state change. Right, this. So when we do on auth state change, we are going to pass a callback function to this. This callback function actually gives us two values. So here, first of all, let me just do async, because this is an async function. We have events, and then we have the session. And we are going to use this session that we get from the on-auth state change. So we can do set session like this. We're gonna set the whole session, and we also want to get the user separately, so we can also say set user, right, and then do session dot user here, because the user is on the session. So once we do this, it means we can add our dependency, which is going to be this. And let me also import this, and here we are going to get data. We are going to get data, and that data is basically going to be our authentication listener. Right, so I'm going to call it auth listener. Can't spell. Yeah, auth listener. And if I hover over this, you'd realize that the auth listener is actually a subscription, right? And we are using it in a use effect, so it means that we need to clean up this subscription when this component when the component unmounts, right? So that's something you need to be careful when you are using the use effect hook, make sure you are always doing the cleanup. All right. So with that, we just do return. And then we pass a callback function like this, and then inside here we can do Auth listener dot. We need to do dot subscription before. Right, and then we do dot unsubscribe. This is how we're going to unsubscribe from this subscription, and this is a cleanup. I'll put a comment up here which is basically going to say subscribing to Auth state change. Okay, so this is saying user are undefined. So yeah, actually let me just make them optional. You can just say session, or no, like this, and yeah, the error should go away. Cool. So we are not using this, so we can just add an underscore here just to yeah, make it not fade out. And what we can do is down here we can actually create a hook for our context. You can say export constant use. So we are creating a hook, so we start with use user session context. We pass a callback, and here I'm going to say constant context, which is going to come from React or use context. Let me just say use context and import it from React, and I'm going to pass our user session context, and that is basically what I am going to return. So after doing this, now let's make sure we are making our components have access to this user session context, right? So we are going to go to app, and here where we have our layout, this is where we have like all our components. This is where we have children. So here we are basically going to say user session context. It's supposed to be the provider, not just the context. Alright, so let's remove this one. And yeah, when we do this one, we have access to our session and user in any part of our application that is within here. So we can now go to this component. We can come here and say use user session context like this, and here we are going to have session. We can come here and then do something like this. So we can say if session, we want to show something else. If not, then let's show something else. Alright, and what we are going to show, let me put this one here. So here, if there is a session, what are we going to show? So we're basically going to show the profile component, and I'm going to show you the profile, the user profile component that I created, which is basically called profile menu. So let me import it. Otherwise, we are going to show our alt buttons. So this is 2 buttons. So let me just wrap it around fragment like this. And once I do this, yeah, the errors are supposed to go away. If I save it, this is basically saying that okay, so if we have a session, then don't show the alt buttons, but rather show the profile menu. And if there is no session, then show this instead. Right. So let me go back to the app and see what I have. And yeah, I am missing the use client, I believe. So user session components, I need to make sure I add use client here. That's because I'm using states here. So if I save this now, I refresh it. Let's wait for the error to go away. Alright, so as you can see, after it refreshes, we don't have the buttons here again. We rather have this, right, which is the user profile menu. That's because we logged in, so the session is still there. We were just not checking for it then. That's why we were seeing that button. But you remember, we already logged in. Alright. So we have a session now. So we get a profile, and here we can see that we have a link to go to your profile menu, go to your bookings, and also if you want to log out. So if I go to the component and I go to Auth buttons, I'll show you where we have the profile menu. By control click on it, as you can see, it's just a small mountain component, which is basically having a drop down menu with some label and some links. So these are the links we have, and here we are going to replace it with the user email, which we are going to get from our session. So let's do that also quickly. We can retrieve the user and then get their email. The way we are going to do that is we are going to use user session context here also. And here we are going to be able to get the user as well. So we're going to say user. Here, instead of this placeholder, we can use user dot. So as you can see, these are the properties that Supabase is giving us for a user. And so we have the email here. You can do user dot email, and then when we save it and then go back and check, let's see if we have, as you can see, there you go. So we have the email of the user showing here. Okay, very cool, very cool. We are able to now check that the user is logged in and show like the user profile and everything. So we are also going to work on logging out. So when we log out, then we should log the user out and then be able to see the login buttons back again. Alright, so let's see how we can do that as well. So with that, we are going to go back to our service. So where is our service? Down here. And then we are going to create the logout function. Right, so we're gonna create a function, export constant, and I'm going to call it logout, which is going to be an async function as well. And here I'm going to do constant, and then I'm going to do the create client component client again, so that I can do rush, and then I wait where they're supposed to be called to. I do Supabase dot auth, and what we want is sign out function. So you want this function, we call it, and that's basically all. We are just going to return the response. So this is all we need for our logout. where do we want to log out? Inside profile menu, we have the logout button here. So this one, as you can see, the component is a button, the type is a button, the role is a button as well. So this is basically a button. So we can add an on-click event to this. On-click, and we're going to pass a function handle. Let's just say handle sign out. Let's create that function up here. So constant handle sign out, which is going to be an arrow function. And I am going to basically say async as well, and I'm going to say await log out. So import this from our service. So when we click on it, it's going to call this, and it is going to basically log us out. So let's go back and test and see if this is working fine. So here I'm going to click on logout, and there you go. So as soon as I click on logout, as you can see, I get my login and sign up buttons again. That's because the session has been removed and we are now logged out. Get it? So let's go back and log in again. So let's go to login, and I'm going to get the email again from here. So let's log this user in this time. So put our email here, test123, and let's click on login. And once it logs in, as you can see, it's very fast. You see? So once we log the user in, we see our profile instead of the buttons again, and we can click on logout. So yeah, that is how our authentication flow is going to basically look like. Right now we are able to sign a user up using their email and password. We are able to log them in with their credentials, and we are able to show their profile once they are logged in, and we are also able to log out the user if they want to log out. So later we're going to be able to log in with our email. That's your Google account, as we see on the login form. But we are going to end this authentication session here, and we're going to do that a bit later in the course. So the last thing I'm going to do as a way to end this part is to add a proper notification alert in our platform instead of using these console logs everywhere. So we are going to, as mentioned earlier, we're going to be using React Toastify. We've already installed a package, so let me show you. It's a very simple way to set it up. First of all, from the documentation, it's going to tell you to add the CSS file, which I am basically going to do. So I'm going to add that in global CSS file. So here I'm going to add it to this, and I'm going to save this one. Alright, so I'll close this, and let me close these open files, and I am going to go here to our layouts. So in here I'm going to use one component, so I'm going to do import. The component is called toast container from React Toastify. And the way you use it is to place the container inside your application. I mean, it could be anywhere, but I'm going to put it under the children here, so that is going to render after like our children pages. So when I put this here, we are actually ready to use React Toastify. Very simple to set it up. So the first place we are going to use it is inside our login here. So where we have console.log login successful, we are not going to use console.log. So we're going to use toast. And we are going to import that from React Toastify. Alright, let me add a manual import for that. Do dot, alright, and this is going to be a success message. So I do toast.success, and inside here I'm going to pass the message I want to pass alongside. So in this case it is going to say login successful, and I also want to place it at the top center of my page, right? So you can pass some other options to the toast to actually change it, like change how the toast looks like. For example, the position, the duration of how the toast should last for, and yeah, some other stuff. Alright, so in this case I want to change the position. Alright, and the way we do it is we do toast dot position dot do top center, like this. Once I save it, yeah, should be good to go. So this is how I am going to be using it. I'm also going to use this in my sign up. So when I sign users up and they are successful or there is an error, I want to show the toast. We'll replace this console log with toast, basically. Toast dot success. So this is when it is successful, and I have to make sure I am importing toast as well. So let's manually import this again. Import toast from React Toastify. And here can do success. And what is the message I want to pass? So I'm just going to say sign up successful. Please check your email to verify your account. Right. And with this one, I'm just going to leave the position as the default. And here where we have the console.log error, I'm also going to use a toast here. So if there is an error, I'm going to say toast.error, and inside here I'm going to basically say error signing you up. Yeah, so this is how we're going to be using our toast. So we can just quickly test our application again and see if we get proper toast notifications. So I'm going to log out, and I'm going to try and log in again. So let's use one of the emails we used. This user email, log this user in. So I'm going to say test 1 2 3, then let's see, and there you go, login successful. So we have our toast showing up now. Cool. Yeah, so as I said, this is how we are going to end this part. We have our basic authentication in place, and we've also added proper toast notifications to our platform. We are basically going to look at how to log in the future with our Google account. Yeah, but we have our authentication flow working fine and perfect. So yeah, we are going to end the part here. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification for the subsequent videos that are coming, and share the video if you find it useful. And as always, I'm going to see you in the next section.